Oh, really? Oh, really? Yeah, of course. Zumar. Oh, really? Yeah, of course. Zumar. Oh, really? Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah, I see it now.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Basketball Breakdown. I'm Coach Ashworth. I have a very special guest with me here today. Andrew Drew Warren is in the building. Welcome, Andrew. How you doing, man? For sure. Absolutely. And again, uh, you are my first guest on here, so so no pressure or anything, but you know, No, and we've talked before, and we saw each other over the summer, and you're a guy who I really feel like brings value to a basketball conversation because you know what you're talking about, high basketball IQ, and for those of you who might not know who Andrew is, again, Indianapolis high school legend, played at Rebuff, then went on to play at Bradley, had a really good Division I career at Bradley. Um, wow, I think what led scoring in the Missouri Valley, I believe your senior year. Is that correct? Now, did they sell you on the whole Braves to Brave thing? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people really realize and remember how talented that 2006 to 2007 those classes were. I mean, like you just talked about, Conley, Odin, Herringody, you. I mean, God, I can't even remember all the guys in your class, but my class was. People always ask me like, were you an Indiana All Star? And I was like, hell no. I had Eric Gordon, Jeff Teague, Etwan Moore. Like I had three guards in my class that are still in the NBA. You know what I mean? So the chances of me sliding in there, not a chance. So I don't think. I don't think people realize like I mean, and it's still like that. I mean, coaching in Indianapolis every single year, there's just crazy talent. So, Andrew's gone on. I'm looking at his little like resume sheet right here. Long professional career. He's had stops in the G League, Argentina, Australia, Estonia, Italy, and now is kind of settled in Germany and played there for several years. So again, you are well storied, played all over the place. What's been your favorite stop? I know you've been in Germany for a little bit, so what's that been like? Yeah, yeah, hold on real quick. Somebody just texted me and said you're having audio trouble. I don't know what that means. Oh, let me double check the audio, make sure everything's working. Um, yeah, no, I'm glad you said that because that was going to be one of my questions. Is kind of like, what's the misconceptions about Americans going over and playing overseas? And I think people think it's like, oh no, can't hear it. Okay,
Can
let's
you
try
hear
it
him
again.
though? I'm gonna try to take my headphones out. Maybe that's
All
the
right, let's try it
problem.
again. I think yeah, I think I fixed it. I think sorry you. We can go back. I think you were muted or something. We'll go
Oh,
back.
can you hear me
Let's,
now?
can everybody hear him? Let's check the chat. Can everybody hear him?
It's a little bit delayed.
Okay, I think you're good now.
All right, perfect. We're good. There we go.
Okay. All right. I guess we'll kind of go back because people couldn't hear what you were saying. Sorry about that. Listen, I'm a basketball coach. I'm not an audio engineer. I don't know all this stuff. So you got to forgive me. All right. So, again, Andrew's been nice enough to join me on this live stream. So please forgive me. I'm improving, I'm learning. So we'll kind of go back again. For those of you viewers who don't know, Andrew, again, we talked about his career, played at Brebeuf, went on to play at Bradley, had a great career in college, and he spoke a little bit about his professional career. Had a lot of stops, and what we just hit on was he was talking about the idea of when you go over as an American and you're playing in these other places, you're not just on vacation. It's a job, and you're representing all other Americans, and they're paying you. They expect you to perform at a high level, and I've heard from a lot of guys that I've talked to that have played overseas that you're almost under more scrutiny as an American player. Did you feel like that when you played over there? Were you more like scrutinized, or did people kind of not give you the benefit of the doubt?
Yeah, I mean the pressure is unbelievable. I mean, you get to some countries, some places, and your job is on the line. Maybe every couple games, if the team drops a few bad games, and maybe you haven't played well. Which as players, that happens. You hit a bad stretch during a long season. We're human, but they don't see it that way. They say, "Oh, we lost some games. You didn't play well." And a lot of times they don't take the ownership. They don't take the onus on them and say, well, maybe I didn't build the team right, or the team's not playing well because of something else. The first thing they say is, oh, it's the player's fault. And because there's only a few Americans on the team and they see us as that we're supposed to be better basketball players,
Yeah.
more talented, carry the team. And they say, oh, it's the Americans, fault. We'll blame them. It's their fault. We'll cut them, stop paying them, maybe pay what we owe them, and then we'll bring some new Americans in. So
Yeah.
uh, it's a lot different. It's harder. You don't have as many guaranteed contracts and things like that. Um, not like in the NBA, nowhere close to the NBA. Definitely not the amount, but just that security is not there. That
Yeah.
if they, you're not really helping the team or helping the organization win games, which that's what a lot of the teams care about. Then they'll get you out of there and bring somebody else in.
Yeah. From talking to a couple of my guys that played over there, I mean, they said it's uh, like the money situations are sometimes crazy. Like you have to take the team to court, and I mean, you have to hire lawyers and all this stuff. And I mean, it's in like Spain. You don't know their court system, and
When my audio was out, but yeah, I mean, you have situations where you're showing up to practice on time, everything you're doing everything you're supposed to do, being a professional, being a player, and payday comes, no money. 1 or 2 weeks of then we'll get you your money soon, we'll get it next week, we'll get it to you. So that comes and goes, and I mean, there's even high level teams that are playing like EuroLeague and stuff that are like 3, 4, 5 months behind on their payment.
oh my
Getting
God,
them. You
4 months behind on a payment.
worse in some cases. And guys are signing contracts saying, okay, this is the money I have coming in. So they're making life decisions based on that. Some guys have families that they want to do things back home, whether it's investing or grow their money or save their money.
Yeah.
And, then that money, that time comes for it to be payday, and the money's not there, and that will give you all kind of runarounds and excuses. And it's not every team. Like I said, being in Germany, there's a lot of security there financially because a lot of the contracts are guaranteed.
Okay.
So if the team doesn't like you, they don't think you're good enough, they still have to pay you out. Now, typically in Germany, what they'll do is they'll make it if a team really wants to get rid of a player, but they still have to pay them. They'll kind of make it difficult. Oh, go play with the lower level team, or you got to come in for these early workouts, kind of like forcing some guys to say, well, I don't want to be here anymore. Or they'll pay you until you find another team, typically things like that in Germany. But you still get paid, which is good. And there's not enough countries that have those type of rules in place, and
Yeah.
even if FIBA, like you were saying, you still have to send a letter in to FIBA via your agent and say, we're going to sue the team. But then this is a long process. You actually pay for that to happen. So, which is
Yeah.
around, last I heard, about $5,000 that you have to pay of your own money, or your agent has to pay. But then you get the money back once you win the settlement. So,
Yeah. And I'm glad you hit on that because I think a lot of people don't know that. I think there's a misconception that like playing overseas, you're going to be the millionaire and treated like royalty and like there's no problems. And I feel like a lot of players have dealt with these financial issues and teams not playing. And so I think that sheds some light on, those misconceptions that it's just going to be glorious if you go overseas and, you're going to be treated like a rock star, which I'm sure that happens. You're a professional player, but there are other problems like any job. There's going to be problems. There's going to be issues. Now let's talk about a positive. So you got engaged this past year. So how's that been? And is it throwing any dents in your wedding plans and that kind of stuff?
So I got engaged back in October this past year, 2019, and man, it was great. So after that happened, my fiance Ashley, she came over and lived with me, up until basically the league got shut down, and she went home a little bit early for a wedding, and then wasn't able to come back because that's when all the Corona stuff kind of happened, and and then I ended up staying a little bit longer because we didn't know if we were going to keep playing or not, and then but yeah. So as far as the wedding goes, well, really, I didn't know how much work went into a wedding.
Yeah, you get decision overload.
Venues and things like that. And you kind of know, but until you go through the process, man, you realize a bit of a process it is.
Oh yeah. It's like having a kid too, man. You just don't realize like how much goes into it until you're in the situation. I when I was getting married, I just got decision overload. Like, what do you want the napkin color to be? I'll be honest, I don't care. You pick, babe. Whichever one you pick, I'll love it. And then so I understand what you're going through.
Hey, you do most of the meets. If she wants my opinion, she asks me, and then we talk about it. But I say, hey, man, this is a little bit out of my comfort zone. So
All right, man. Let's unless you've lived under a rock for the last month, everybody's been talking about The Last Dance and this like really cool documentary that's going back showing the Bulls and Michael Jordan and really spanning his whole career. They kind of sold it as it was the '98 season, but you're really seeing his whole career and all these behind the scenes things. So, what's your thoughts so far on The Last Dance? Now that you've seen 8 or 9 episodes.
and well, I tell you what was it, 7 and 8? The last two episodes I think are my favorite.
Oh, absolutely.
We all knew Mike's competitive nature as far as like he used to really push guys and demand a lot from his teammates. But seeing video of it, he's leading the sprints. He's
Yeah.
talking to guys, trash talking his own teammates in practice. Hearing the Steve Kerr story from both of their mouths. I mean,
Oh yeah.
completely different level of competitiveness and a different style of leadership than what typically, oh, he's a great leader or great captain or something like this. We think like really nice guy, gets
Yeah.
along, encourages everybody, but he was like a villain leader. I
Yeah.
told a
They
couple
were scared of him.
the last couple of days, Mike's like a superhero and a villain, like rolled in one, because he
Absolutely.
places when he needs to really get super competitive and maybe pull his teammates along when they don't want to and holds them accountable, and or when he needs to like step on an opponent's neck to get a win or something. But he's doing it all from a really good place, and just to see that side of him and hear those stories and to see it live in action, you're kind of like, whoa, you kind of take it back from everything, and it's just like it's really cool to see, especially for the average fan who a lot of guys never really played, or maybe they played as far as
Yeah.
like some little league or something. Even high school, I mean, when you get up to those higher levels, it's complete.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool piece. I think it was like the end of episode 7 and kind of going into episode 8 was that idea of like, is Michael Jordan a good teammate? And I think there's that like that dual nature, like you said. Like on one end, he's the superhero, he's like the greatest ever, and then on the other end, he's the villain because he's so demanding that it's almost like you saw he almost got to tears because like people criticized him and said like he wasn't a good guy, he wasn't a good teammate, but sometimes that's what winning takes, and I think there's a lot of arguments over like what leadership is, and that really showed leadership can come in different ways. You could have a guy like Michael Jordan who's so demanding that it's almost I would almost say detrimental to like the positive team atmosphere. But then, you got a guy maybe like Brad Stevens who's super positive and he's not going to be like overly critical. It kind of shows you that leadership can come in different ways. And that was the way Mike was that's just the way he was. And he didn't, he said, if you didn't want to be a part of it, this is not for you.
All of it, and just to see his emotions still to this day. He hasn't played a game in almost 20 years, and that's still in him. Like that doesn't leave, because like if
Yeah.
you see a lot of like people that he's close with, they say, "Oh, well, he still trash talks to this day." you know,
Yeah.
golf or something like that's just in him. And I think things like that, you're either born with it or you're not. Like that type of
Yeah.
competitive Mike has, like you either have that or you don't.
Yeah.
And very few people that have it, and those that do, they tend to have a high level of success. And what do people always say? Oh, well, he's an a-hole or something like this, No,
Yeah.
this wants to win, and he'll do whatever it takes to get there. So if that means rubbing people the wrong way, so be it. That's how
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah, I think that kind of like as a coach, I see that too. It's kind of one of those things. It's like if you want to be at the top, like you have to be prepared not to be liked by everybody. Like there's going to be people that criticize you. There's going to be people that don't like you. There's going to be people that don't like the way you do things. And I think you really see that with Mike is, that it takes something to be a champion. It takes something to be that elite. And he really showed it. And it's not for everybody. Not everybody could be like that. So I thought that was just like a super cool, piece that we don't really get to see, like you said, as the common fan or just maybe your average day, guy that's, if you've never played in the pros, you might not know like what it truly is like and what it truly takes to be that successful, and I think of teams like, and this kind of ties into the next topic of like the recent era of how hard it is to be successful over a long period of time, like the Warriors dynasty and the Spurs dynasty. Like how hard it really is to stay that consistent and be that successful, and just what it takes. And then it kind of leads me into like, what are your thoughts on this whole debate of, the past era versus current era? Like Michael Wilbon said, LeBron and KD couldn't play in the 80s and the 90s. So like, what's your thoughts on like today's players versus like 80s, 90s players?
I think, well, first of all, I think a lot of people speak from different points of view, and a lot of it is opinionated, heavily opinionated. So guys that tend to like the guys playing and how they play now say, "Oh, these guys would, they're better than these players," but we'll never know the answer. So it's just going to be like a lifelong debate,
Yeah.
which that me and I'm like, let's just appreciate everybody for
Yeah.
what debated. Have these talks and kind of you pull different statistics and analytics, to the forefront of like a debate, and I really do enjoy that part, just being like a basketball junkie. But a lot of people, what I tend to know is they're just talking with no context behind it. There's KD's better. KD and LeBron are way better than
Yeah.
Jordan. Jordan didn't play against anybody. He played against these slow, unathletic guys. You look at that and you look at the other guys that played back then, they were just as athletic, maybe not, there was other
Yeah.
athletic guys was just so superior. Or just like now, LeBron and KD, these guys are more superior than the guys playing now. But I've gone back during the quarantine. I've been able to watch a lot of like old games, like on YouTube from like the 90s and
Yeah.
stuff, early 2000s. I have noticed that the game was more physical then. You had rules that allow players to play a certain way, hand checking. There's also a clip. I'll send it to you so you can see it. But there's a clip about Michael talking about because of how big his hands are, not just how it helps him in basketball, but how he can hand check, and because of that, he can kind of
Yeah.
like direct the where he wants him to go or throw him
Oh
off.
yeah.
I mean, that's a big thing. I was watching another video about how the NBA rules committee and different things back in the early 2000s. They were worried about viewership and things like this. And Jerry Colangelo, who used to own the Suns, was a part of this, and how they wanted to kind of make the game more open, like it is now.
Yeah.
And that led into a whole other topic of Jerry Colangelo having like the knowing what was going on ahead of time, and this is why they built the Suns the way they did back when Steve Nash and D'Antoni. They had that whole nice run of kind of like the pace and space, and that started the
Yeah.
whole. But so I mean, the rules are more predicated towards an offensive player now. I just think that if you take any of the great players now, or any of the great players from before, and switch them in any era, put them in any era you want to say, oh, hey, this is how they would do, or how would they do here. I think those guys would adapt.
Oh
I
yeah.
think
For sure.
now he would adapt, and he would have the same mentality that he has, but I think he would go crazy with the rules where there's less contact and things like that.
Yeah.
KD back in the 90s, and it's a little bit more physical. I think they would build their bodies up. LeBron doesn't need to, but
Yeah.
do things and play a different style, but it will still be, a dominant way like they play now.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I mean, I think like the legends of each era would be legends in a different era, and it's kind of stupid that we compare and we say, well, if LeBron, you do these hypotheticals, if he got in a time machine and went back, we'll never know. We'll never know if the 96 Bulls would beat the 2017 Warriors. It's fun to talk about, but I always get a kick out of that. Like, LeBron couldn't play in the night. It's like, yes, he could. You know what I mean? He's one of the best players ever. He would be fine in any era. So I just thought I'd get your thoughts on that, because I keep seeing these debates, and all this hoopla and all this stuff around it. And it's just, I think from a player's perspective, you understand it and you get it. Like, a dog's a dog. Like LeBron would do fine. MJ would do fine now. Like I don't think he would average 50. Like people are saying he'd average 50. I don't think he'd average 50 because he's got,
I
they
think he would possibly average closer over to 40. I mean, heck, he did it back then when he
yeah.
was a little bit more physical, and he averaged what 37 one year or something. So
Yeah, I was actually watching Detail today. Have you ever watched Detail? That ESPN show. It's like it used to be Kobe, R.I.P., but he would like break down, stuff. And they had Steve Kerr on there today, and they were breaking down the '98 finals against the Jazz. It was like 30 minutes. It was really cool. He broke down all the plays and all the things they were doing. And I didn't know they had a rule back then that actually helped offense, like one-on-one offense. It's called a legal defense. So it's like in today's game, they have obviously defense at 3 seconds. So you can't sit in the, it's like offensive 3 seconds. But back then, they had what was called a legal defense. So if your offensive player was above the free throw line, you as a defender could not go below the free throw line. So he shows a couple plays where the Jazz, they just take three guys and stick them almost to half court. And then they take Karl Malone, they just put him on the block. It's one-on-one, and those other defenders can't come down and help. And so that made me like really think. I was like, well, that kind of helps guys like Michael Jordan, where okay, you can stick guys way up at the top of the key. You just leave him one-on-one. Like that's ridiculous. Like nowadays you can run zone defenses and you can drop on the backside. There's a little bit more of like help side, but I just found that out today, and I was like, I didn't even realize that was a rule back then.
watching this other video where a guy was talking about that, and he was saying it was a little bit ridiculous because he showed clips of Giannis. They basically overloaded one side and then just had Giannis on the post and let him do the same thing in with the rules now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so
they should be doubling and helping, and just like the problem now is there's so many more shooters on the floor than it was back then. Like I think in '98 the Jazz, they won game 1 against the Bulls and they didn't make a three. They didn't make one 3-pointer the whole game. And then you see today, it's like, I mean, can you imagine a team not making a three and winning a game in the NBA Finals? It's like that'd be unheard of.
other team would shoot so many threes and they would probably make some that it's almost like you have to make threes now to win. You
Yeah.
have to, but you have to make threes now because all the teams are shooting so many.
All right, let's segue back into your career. And I think you hit on this when the audio was out, but we could kind of dive deeper into this idea of like, what would you say are your best experiences as a pro? And then what would you say are your worst experiences as a pro, just from your perspective of what you've seen?
So my best or most memorable experiences were, of course, my first year getting that first contract and opportunity to play. Coach Aaron Fern, he took an opportunity, I guess, speak up. But Coach Aaron Fern, who was my coach in Australia, that first year gave me the opportunity to go and become a pro. So that was really memorable going all the way to Australia. It was like 24 hours on the plane and travel time to get there, which was the most tired. After I've been there, that was the most tired I've ever been jet lagged. I was jet lagged for literally a week. Uh, but just that whole season was it was a good experience. I learned a lot. I had some good veteran players on my team, so I was able to learn kind of how to be a pro and the things you have to do. Um, and I'll just go since it's right after that. My worst experience was like right after that. So I had a really good experience and I had a really bad experience. And I ended up going to Naples, Italy to play. So I was playing in second league Italy. So my first year in Europe, which is a good league to start off in. If you play well there, it can kind of,
Yeah,
boost you to
such yeah.
really good leagues and stuff. And the money was good. I was excited to go to Italy. I was a big fan of Italy, Italian culture even before. So I was excited to go and kind of get into all that. And man, we get 3 games into the regular season, and there's no money. They said Like, we had got paid once, which is like the money you get right when you pass your
Yeah.
physical. Not like pocket money, it's to make sure you have some money until your first check comes. We didn't get that. None of the players, coaches got paid, and they didn't
So
make
is this for your team or the whole league?
for my team.
Okay.
So what happened was they ended up kicking us out of the league because our team didn't not only didn't pay us, they didn't pay the federation fee that I guess every team has to pay. So they just kicked us out of the league and we were done right at the beginning of the season. So of course, no teams are looking for
Yeah.
players. So like, and it's
Oh
my
my
first
God.
year. I'm kind of like looking to try to get in Europe because the best basketball is played in Europe, and now that opportunity to kind of really get started and do well. And I started off playing pretty good. I was 23, 24 years old, and now this opportunity is taken away from me for nothing I did. And so I went home and kind of sat around and ended up having to go to Cyprus like back at, around December of that time, which that level, that league and everything wasn't as good as Italy. So that kind of from that moment that set my whole career back as far as getting like really good opportunities. Just it was out of my control.
Yeah.
Nobody saw it happen, and I'm not the only player that I'm sure that has a story like that. But a few tough years after that, and actually gave the D League a try, and didn't really have a great experience in it. I had a really good experience from it as far as networking and meeting all these people that work with NBA teams, and they're working with the D League teams and trying to
Yeah.
move up, whether it be management or different things. So that was really cool. Met a lot of really, really, really awesome people just through that process. But so start off in Reno. We were doing some kind of weird, crazy basketball stuff there, playing like Grinnell College, like subbing every
Yeah.
2 minutes, subs. I mean, pressing full court and giving up twos and then taking threes or only layups. It was like the craziest thing. So I ended up leaving there and going to Santa Cruz, and we ended up winning the championship there. So
Okay.
kind of a good way to end like a rough season, and I was at the point I was going to quit and kind of like be done with basketball just because I had several experiences of either getting cut or not getting paid, and like I said, from that Italy season, it kind of set everything back. But my friends talked me into like keep going and give it another try, and but yeah, so I'll let jump in there because I could keep.
Oh yeah, no, let's take a quick break, so I can fix this audio stuff, and we'll take a quick break, and I think our Zoom call is getting ready to like end. They only give us 40 minutes, so we're gonna fix this audio. We'll get back, and again, I'd love to keep hearing about this G League experience, and keep talking about your career and your experiences. I'm glad that you talked about that idea of like, I mean, you thought about giving it up, and that, that idea of dealing with adversity and then finally, bouncing back. And now, you see, you've had some good experiences the last couple of years. So let's take a quick break, stay on the live stream, and we will be back shortly. Let's do it. All right, we are back again. I'm talking to Andrew Warren. He's been gracious enough to take time out of his evening to join the live stream. We're having a really good conversation about his pro career and his experiences. And before we took that little break, he said something that was really interesting to me. Andrew, you talked about, you thought about maybe giving up basketball as a player. You had some bad experiences, and can you hit back on that? Like, what made you keep going? What made you stick with it? And then, maybe talk about some of your more recent positive experiences.
So after my second year, which happened in Italy, where we didn't get paid, and then going to Cyprus, I was supposed to get paid like basically through April. Our season ended like right as April started. They just said, "Hey, we're not going to pay you what we owe you for April." So here we go. So I already had one opportunity to get paid, now another one. And they said, "Oh, well, we want you to come back and play for us again next year." I said, "But you're not going to pay me what you owe me this year." I said, "That makes no
Yeah.
sense. Why? So why would I do that?" So then after that, I went to try to make up some money that I lost in Italy by going to play in New Zealand. It's like a little summer league that starts usually from like April to like August or something, and you can make some decent money, and try to make up some of the money. I go there, everything's good. Like had some, we lost some games because we had like some big guys get hurt. So the guy that ran the team, he went out and got like another big man, thinking like, "Oh, we need a big man." But we started winning after we lost a couple games. But he said, "Man, I spent all this money to get this big guy here, so he's gonna play." So he
Yeah.
basically put the coach an ultimatum and said either Andrew goes or the other
Yeah.
import goes. So they had a national team guy at the two guard who's a really great guy. His name's Webster. He can play. I mean, he lights it up on the FIBA World Cup. Everywhere he goes, really good player. So really, they didn't need me. So they kept the other guy who played like a 3-4 position. So they sent me home early. So now the money I went to go to make up for a couple months, I didn't get the opportunity to do that. So I come home, I'm down and out. I come back. I had the opportunity to go back to Australia, but it was for like quite a bit less money than what I played for my first year. So I said, "Hey, if you guys make the money the same as my rookie year, I'll come right away." They was like, "We don't have so much money, we can't really do it." I was like, "Oh, okay, well, I'll just wait," because I still, like I said, I wanted to stay in Europe and try to see if I could kind of get in that Euro Cup,
Yeah.
opportunity where you make really good money. It's really great competition, and so got close on a couple offers. They didn't go through. They chose somebody else. So I'm sitting around all the way until this January, end of January. I go to Argentina. Go there. It's this country town. We're practicing like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. The games are super late. The coach only spoke Spanish. He didn't really want to play me that much, and I was a little bit, to my I'll take some blame, sitting around so long, I kind of got discouraged and I wasn't as ready as I should have been. But the thing that kind of helped me there was a guy got hurt that he wanted to play in front of me. So then I had to play. Once that happened, I started playing really well. But then we lost so many games that we couldn't make the playoffs anymore, which is why they brought me in. So they just sent me back home and didn't pay me the last couple months.
Yeah. I'm glad you talked about this because, like, a lot of people don't understand the business side of professional basketball. It is a business, and sometimes your coach and the players, it doesn't matter what they think. Sometimes it doesn't matter how much you're producing. You got a GM who's coming in, or the owner who says, we got to get rid of this guy. Or I just signed, like you said, this big guy for a lot of money. He's going to play. It doesn't matter if he's more talented or less talented. He's going to play. And unfortunately, like you said, you had experiences where you might have been the more talented guy or been able to, fit into the team, but the business side of it kicked in, and now you're out of luck with that team. Or
it's huge because on the high school level, you're at school. Once the team is picked, you're on the team at least for that season. Same thing in college. Kind of once you get there, they don't really so much unless you're causing problems. They don't try to get rid of you and say, "Okay," they just recruit over you and then play that kid in front of you. But you're still there on a scholarship. You still go to practice and everything. But on the pros, they just cut you. Especially
it's cutthroat.
man, yeah, they cut you until you. I've heard stories of players where they say, "Man, if I didn't play good this game, my replacement was in the stands watching, and they were going to put this guy in the team for me the next day." Seriously,
Wow. I mean,
yeah,
see, and like, that's like, I hate to say, like, unnecessary pressure, or I mean, I guess it's just that pressure that you don't realize a lot of these guys are dealing with. If I have one bad game, they're getting rid of me,
yeah,
and this is my job, this is my livelihood, this is how I put food on the plate, this is how I pay for stuff. That's a lot of pressure to deal with. And like you said, I'm fortunate as a high school coach. You know, it's not as cutthroat. If I have a bad year, people, yeah, they're going to be upset, but I'm still a teacher at the high school, and I'm still trying to help the school. I'm not going to get fired after 6 games because we're 2-4. And I think at the pro level, it's so much more cutthroat, and the pressure, especially as a player, an American player playing maybe in Europe or overseas, is so more intense than high school and college. And I think these players that are coming up through the system say, I want to be a pro player. Well, you have to be ready to deal with what comes with being a pro player. The work, the time, the pressure, and the things that don't go well. And I'm glad to see a guy like you who, did go through some bad experiences, to stick with it and to go and overcome that adversity. That really says a lot about you.
and it wasn't easy. There was times where I was like, "Yeah, I'm done," and then I was able to have really good people around me, friends, kind of give me that kick in the butt and say, "Hey, man, come on, you're better than this," or give it another shot. So that is what I had on my side. But there was times where I was like, I'm absolutely done. Like after the
Yep.
D League, I didn't have great statistics or anything, and it was going to be hard for me to find a job. And I was just like, man, I'm done. I think I'm going to try to start the next phase of what I want to do, whether it be coaching or whatever. But my friends kind of like, come on, man, give it one more try. You guys just won. And that did help me. The good thing about Santa Cruz was like the atmosphere there of that organization in the D League, they do one of the best jobs in the D League as far as like running the organization the right way, because there's even people within the organization that aren't on the basketball team, player or coaching staff. There's people that do other things that and they're working to get that promotion
Yeah.
to the. So I know guys. One of our trainers at that time, he's now the trainer for the Warriors. Same thing. What our
Yep.
strength and conditioning guy with the Warriors. Like so that's how they build it and they do it the right way. And just being around a lot of positive people, we were like a family. And okay, winning helps, but we were really close as players. And I came in late, and they accepted me like I had been there from the beginning, and then winning that championship, it kind of like gave me a boost to the positive energy that I needed to say, all right, man, I'll give it one more go,
Yep.
and that kind of helped me go. And that was going to Estonia making basically $1,000 a month and saying, hey, I'm gonna go just give it one last shot. If I'm nowhere by December making more money and in a better situation, then I'm gonna say I'm done. I'm not gonna force something that isn't meant to be. And I went and made it happen. I just worked my butt off
Yeah.
and got in a better situation that year, and that led me to Germany, and been there pretty much ever since.
Man, that's awesome. Because again, I always talk about the misconceptions, and as a coach, I've had a lot of kids that hey, I want to go D1 or I want to go pro, and I try to share the stories like yours where I say, hey, you have to be ready to deal with adversity. You have to be ready to deal with things when they don't go your way. Your whole life have been the best player. You've been the best player at your high school your whole career, and now you're going to go to maybe a D1 college where every kid was that kid. Every kid was the best player in their area. And so you're going to have to compete for that. And then, hell, you go to the pros, every guy that's on that team was the best player in their conference or the best player, in that area. And you're battling not only for playing time, you're battling for contracts, you're battling for all kinds of stuff. And I think a lot of people don't realize, what that takes to be at that level. For you to play 8-9 years as a professional is incredible because of the level and talent. And I think there's a mental side of it, the mental fortitude to deal with that. So again, I think that says a lot.
No, I appreciate that, and I mean, like I said, a lot of it is the people I have around me to support cats, which not everybody's fortunate to have. But I think the biggest thing that we see, and I'm sure you see it as a coach. I was talking to I see it all the time. We see it. We're seeing it more and more. The NCAA is changing rules with this transfer portal without a penalty to sit out. Our society, our culture is getting soft, and that's a general statement, but it's
Yeah.
true because now we have a lot of things, and you can trickle it down. You can take it down all the way to like high school or AAU, where as soon as something doesn't go a kid's way, um, the
Yep.
parents take them and move them to a new district or use a different address. They go to a different school, or they can go to a charter school, something like this. Go play on the AAU team, team up with the best guys
Oh yeah.
around. It's and that's not a good thing because life is hard, and there's going to be times in life where you have to say, you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, okay, what do I want? And you have to work to get there. And it's not going to be the way you think it up in your mind. You conjure it up in your mind, but you have to fight through those bumps in the road and to fight. But you have to also enjoy that process along the way. And then once you
Um,
get to where you want to go, it's going to make it much sweeter once you're there.
and yeah, exactly. I think that's a great point you made. I think it's more enjoyable when you overcome adversity, when you didn't get something handed to you or you had some hard times and you overcame that. Those are the greatest moments, and the moments you feel the most successful or the happiest is when you get over that. And like you said, I think there's a trend, and I hate to see it, is and I always say, like, try to tell parents, prepare your kid for the road, don't prepare the road for your kid. Like,
Exactly.
don't try to fix every situation for your kid. Let your kid be coached. Let your kid deal with some adversity, because like you said, as that's life. When you get married, marriage is work. And you can't just say, well, I don't like who I married, I'm going to get a divorce and just keep getting divorced and divorced. I mean, you can, but that's not going to be a good way to live. Or your job, there's going to be days your job's not the best job, and you could quit and just move on job to job to job, but eventually you're going to have to hunker down. I think Matt Painter said this on the Dockage show the other day, and he had some really good points about this idea of transferring. And he's like, eventually you're going to have to hunker down and say, like, it's time to deal with it. And I think good organizations, good teams have players that are willing to do that. I don't know how your freshman year at Bradley was. My freshman year at IUPUI, I was behind George Hill. And if I thought I was going to play over George Hill, I'm an idiot, because it was pretty plain to everybody. He should be playing. You guys play the same position. Now, I fought, and I got, by the end of the year, I was in the rotation, and I was playing, I don't know, if I got 5 minutes, I was the happiest guy. And maybe you can speak on your freshman year compared to, like, then you get into your junior and senior year where you're all conference and a leading scorer in those things. But, what was your freshman year like?
Freshman year was a very bumpy road. I mean, I got there, they came off of a Sweet 16. They lost several guys, but still had a couple guys in place that had that success. But I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to find my way to fit in here. Like, I'm never afraid of competition. I just gotta, figure it out. But like you said, when each level you go up, you get moved back down on that totem pole when you first get there. So we go there playing pickup with them. When I first get there, I'm always getting around somebody, but then the balls get knocked from behind. Little things. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that freshman year adjustment is it took me about half a season to just the speed and the strength, and those lanes that were there in high school are not there anymore. And mine was my jump shot. Like, I really struggled with my jump shot my freshman year because of the speed. Like, you got to be ready to shoot, and it's got to get off quicker. And I kind of had a slower shot in high school, and I was a good shooter, but now you're dealing with guys that are 6'5" that are challenging, and they're there on the catch. And if you're not ready, and you don't have good form and a quick release, I struggle. And I think a lot of kids they're just not ready for that, or they think they're just going to come in and be a starter and be the best player as a freshman. And it's not always like that. There are studs. Okay, if you're Zion, yeah, you're going to start anywhere, but he's the first pick in the NBA draft. But these other guys, if you're going to Bradley or IUPUI or, some of the D1 is talented guys. They're just like you. They were you 4 years ago when they were a freshman. Hell, sometimes it's 5th year, 6-year seniors. I played with 3 6-year seniors. These guys were 22 years old, 23 years old, and I was 18. These guys have played 5 years of college basketball. So I think that's an important point that a lot of younger kids, I hope parents will start to promote this. I think it starts with the parents. That's just me.
It does. It does.
People say like kids have changed. I think kids don't know any better. You know what I mean? It's parents and it's coaches and it's our expectations and what we promote, what we preach to the kids. So, I think as a coach, that's what I've always tried to talk about is like, Tim Kite has a great thing is E plus R equals O. Have you ever heard that?
No, I have not.
So it's, your life is based on events that happen to you, and you can't control most of the events that happen to you. But your R is your response. How do you respond to that? So E plus R equals O is the outcome. So it's basically like how you respond to everything that happens to you. That's the ultimate thing that's going to, change or affect the outcome of your life or the situation you're in. So like, for an example, you dealt with a bunch of adversity and but your response was, you talked to some people you cared about, you went and you kept giving it a second chance. And then the outcome was, you had some positive things happen to you. Now your career is, it's going well in Germany, so that, I think that's sometimes lost in our society. It's like, well, I don't like this coach, so I'm going to move to this team. Or, I'm a teacher. You see it in the classroom. It used to be you have a D. Well, what are you doing as a student? Why do you have a D for a reason? And I think sometimes now it's, you have a D. Well, what's your teacher doing? Why did your teacher give you a D? And it's like, I didn't give you a D. You earned a D because you're not doing anything, and I think that mindset has to change, and we got to get back to that mentality of like ownership of how you respond to situations and how you deal with it. And I think it's somewhat, it's starting, like you said, to be kind of rampant.
Because you have a perspective, like you said, in the classroom, and then you're coaching as well. My freshman year at Bradley, I was struggling with shooting. I struggled physically because I was like this skinny, slight built kid. And, they were coming off a Sweet 16, so they were trying to get back to that same type of success in the tournament or something. And I actually started off solid. I had some good games, some really good games for like a freshman, and then we got the conference season when everything kind of, you take another step up, almost like NBA playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Situation in college, once conference season starts, coach is shortening the rotation. He's going with the guys he knows, and I was not really in that rotation. I was coming in to sub a guy, gave him a blow for 2-3 minutes, and then I was out. So I was going from games like playing 20, 25 minutes sometimes, but mostly like around 20 minutes a game, to playing like 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes max, and that was it. And I was just kind of like, what the heck? Then I kind of hit a freshman wall. My grandfather had passed away. I was dealing with some other things too that kind of like threw me off mentally, but I continued to work and try to work hard. And I actually, there was a point where I did hit a wall because I was like, I didn't know what I was doing wrong. I couldn't figure it out. And the coach is like,
sometimes it's you're not doing anything wrong. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just, there's either better guys or there's guys that have more experience and they're going to ride it out. And like you said, hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect.
It's that idea that like, and that's kind of the hard part of coaching is sometimes you tell kids like, it's nothing you're doing wrong. It's just like, this is the rotation that we are going with, and we can't play 10 guys. We're going to play, an 8-man rotation. And, as you saw, like when you were a senior, you probably didn't want a freshman coming in playing 25 minutes, coming in for your minutes because you felt like you earned that. So, I think that's another thing that like people don't understand about that, because I was in the same boat, when it was like a conference back-to-back, on that, I think we played Wednesday, Saturday, or Thursday, Saturday. On Saturday, I would play a lot because, hell, it's a back-to-back weekend, the guys are tired, and then you get to the conference tournament and it's like, that rotation shrinks, and you know the margin for error shrinks. And I get it now as a coach, because like, I mean, think about the pressures on a college coach. I mean, if you don't perform well and don't succeed, that's their job, that's their livelihood. You know what I mean? So their leash is so much shorter, and the pressure is a little bit more intense. You know, I was like, why is Ron Hunter yelling at me so much? You know, and now I get it, because I'm like, you know, it matters.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely does. And like I said, I when you go through it, and then once you get past it, you look back and go, "Oh, okay, now I understand it." But I was just glad that you know I was like, "No, I'm fine. I learned a lot, and I'm gonna stick with it." Like there was never once a thought in my head after that freshman year. It was like, should I transfer from going like having good games in non-conference to not playing it very much at all, some games not at all. I still didn't think like, oh, I want to transfer. you
Yeah.
know and I wanted to be out there more than anybody. I just knew my time would come, and you just have to try to learn as much as you can, use that time to get physically stronger, learn more mentally, learn how things work. And that's what I did. And my parents, I'm sure they were like, "Oh, okay, he can play on this level," and now I'm not playing. They were probably like, "Well, what's going on?" But my dad understands that he was never once like, "Oh, I think we should transfer and go somewhere else." So that was one of the benefits that I had on my side, and that next year I was starting and pretty
Yeah.
much the rest of my career.
Yeah, and I'm glad you hit on that idea of parents, because my parents were the same way.
Yeah.
They were not going to come to me and give me, you know, a sob story and say, you know, it's the coach's fault. My parents were like, you got to work harder, man. Like, you got to figure out a way to get better. You got to figure out a way to get in the rotation. There was no pity party for me. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was frustrated that I wasn't playing, and I was frustrated that, you know, I wasn't starting or whatever it might be. But, you know, my parents were very realistic with me, and really put it on me, that said, hey, you got to, if you want to change, you know, they never said you need to transfer, you got to get out of here. They never once criticized the coaching staff. I mean, and I think that really benefited me, even, you know, to this day. And, you know, I'm a father now, and that's something I'm going to try to do with my kids when it comes to sports or comes to anything they're doing. It's like, hey, if you're playing the trumpet, it's not the band director's fault that you can't play the trumpet. Like, you better start practicing, you know, or if you're a swimmer, you know, it's not your swim coach. Like, you better get in that water and swim faster. So it's that
There are
mentality.
situations where transferring is probably necessary.
Absolutely,
So I'm
yeah. There's situations that, yeah,
but I think it's starting to get a little bit out of hand. Oh, coach said I was going to play this much. I thought I was going to play this much or that much, or this is what I
yeah.
thought. And really, it's stuff in the kid's head, or the outside noise we like to call it. People in the kids' ears, and
You think social media
oh,
has impacted that?
100%. And Matt Painter was saying it well. And that's why I was glad you brought it. He was like, when things are good, they feed off of that in a good way. But then when it's
Oh
negative,
yeah.
also take that and kind of, live off of that as well. So, you what I and that kind of I'm gonna segue into what we talked about. You were like kind of say give some kids that's in high school some advice.
Yeah, that was kind of be my next like question. So, you know, what would be your advice to a kid, you know, who's starting high school or a high school player right now?
You just have to understand that if you say you want to be Division 1, or just say play in college or whatever, because Division 2 has some guys that can go and should be probably Division 3.
NAIA D3, like I try to tell people, there are guys that are Indiana All-Stars that are barely getting D2 looks or NAI looks, and you're one of the top 10 to 12 players in the whole state, you know, so I'll let you continue.
I would just tell them and say, hey, everybody knows the whole cliche. You got to work hard. Yes, you have to work hard, but you have to work hard when you think you're doing. You're like, oh man, I'm working hard. When you think you're doing enough, you have to do even more.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't learn that until like later. That just when I had a really good workout this morning or whatever. Okay, well in the evening go back and do some more, whether it's shooting or something physical or something. You can always do more, and that's what the great ones do. That's what people that get to that next level that go high major D1. That's what they do. You know, um, but you have to realize that just because you work hard and put a lot of time and effort into things doesn't mean it's going to go how you want to. So that's where you have to be mentally strong
Yeah.
to continue to push and say, okay, here's still my end goal. So if you're a freshman, you have three and a half, 4 years to get to reach that goal. So if for one of those years it doesn't go exactly how you want to, go back to the drawing board and say, okay, what do I need to do better? Whether it's get stronger or get more athletic or work on my shot, work on my ball handle, whatever it might be, you have to look at yourself. But I would tell kids, it's all on you. It's all on you and what you want out of it, because you have to not only you have to work hard and put a lot of time and effort into it, and that that's part of making sacrifices. When your friends are hanging out and doing stuff, and hey man, come on, let's go do this. Nah, man, I'm gonna go to the gym or I'm gonna go, work out or do something. You have to do those type of things.
Yeah, it takes a different level, and like we tell our players, like working hard is an expectation. Like that's just expected. Everybody, if you want to be successful or be on this team or be in this program, like you're gonna work hard. That's a non-negotiable here. But what is it going to take to get above that? Because everybody's working hard. Like, hell, the kids at Ben Davis are working hard. The kids at Brebeuf are working hard. Everybody's working hard. So how do we separate ourselves? How do we get better? We got to do more. Like you said, just because you showed up and you did what coach asked you to do at 7 a.m, that doesn't mean your work's over. Like if you truly want to be great, you'll go do a weightlifting, after, or you'll stay on the gun and get 1,000 shots up, or you'll come back at night and play one-on-one against a kid that you feel is better than you. I think that's like the lost art, is challenging people that are better than you, being around people that are better than you. That's what I like about coaching. And, hell, I'm 31 years old. I don't know anything about coaching or basketball compared to I'm going up against guys that have been coaching longer than I've been alive. You know what I mean? They've been a head coach for 32 years. I've been on this earth for 31. You know what I mean? So I realize like I have to do more, learn more, continue to get better. I want to be around smarter people than me. And if I sit there and I say, I already got it figured out, I know what I'm doing, well, I'm not going to grow and I'm not going to get better. And I think sometimes that happens with players, is they think they got it figured out. They think that they don't have to put in the time and really do the stuff that's going to make them go above and beyond. Like, I'll be all right. No, you won't, because eventually you're going to run into a kid who's doing more, who's just the same athleticism, or he's just the same as you, but he's been doing more, and you're going to get exposed.
And that's why I like the saying where they say a wise man claims to know very little while a fool claims to know everything. I mean, because it's true. And one of the things that I was, I was fortunate to have be able to play Division I and have a pretty successful career. I wish we won more. That's my one regret. In college, we didn't win as much, we didn't even make the tournament. We made the NIT my first year, but that's my one, that's why I really don't, categorize myself. I had a good individual career in college, but I didn't have like a very successful career because, and there's a lot of variables that go into having a good, good team.
Oh yeah.
Players, but we just didn't win. But you have to listen. You have to listen, and if you listen and say, okay, I don't know as much as the coach, or as a player, I don't. I mean, these are all in basketball and coaching. They're life lessons in all this. It doesn't matter if you work a corporate job, you still have to put that more work in everybody to have success. If you want to, listen and learn, you have to listen and learn to your parents or people that have more wisdom than you, that have lived through more than and have more experience than you. You have to listen to that and then implement that, into day-to-day life. And
that comes with time. I mean, I've seen a lot of kids like, I'm sure when you and I were 16, we probably thought we knew a little bit more than what we really knew, and you don't want to hear the lectures and that kind of stuff. So I see it, I get it with kids, and I'm like, I get it, man. You don't want to hear what I'm saying right now, but in 10 years, it's all gonna make sense. When you're applying for a job, or you're getting married, or you have kids, all these things you're learning in sports gonna prepare you for that, for good or for bad. You know what I mean? And that's kind of my goal as a coach, as I always talk about, if we win every game, but you guys are jerks, you're not doing the stuff in the classroom, you treat people poorly, you're not a good friend, you're not a good son, I've failed. I have failed miserably as a coach if that's who you are. We could win every game and win a state championship, and yeah, people would be like, that's awesome. But I wouldn't feel very good. You know what I mean? So, yes, winning is important, but I care about who my kids are going to be later, 10 years down the road. Because, I mean, think about it. The average high school kid is not going to be a professional player. I mean, 99.9%, I don't know what the exact percentage is, but it's in the 99s, are not going to be a pro player. You're going to be done in 4 years, even if you go play in college. So I'm glad you hit on that idea of like, use this to prepare yourself for life. This is stuff that's going to help you dealing with adversity, being a part of a team, finding a way to get better. If you go do a corporate job, you should want to be the best in that company, and you have to work and you have to separate yourself from that next guy because he wants a raise. He wants to, he wants to be employee of the month too. So those are all good points. Man, you got to become a coach. That was going to be my next question. Like, what's life? Not to like make you want to retire, but what's life like for you after you're done with your career? So, like, what do you want to get into? What's it look like in the next 10 years from now?
Stay around the game. I mean, I don't think I can see myself sitting in an office all day or something. Twiddling my thumbs. I got to go to the gym and try to help kids, like you said, learn life lessons through basketball and to help them not only grow as players, but grow as men. I think that's, some of life's greatest lessons can be learned and enjoyed through sports. So I would definitely enjoy that. I'm also going to look into like sports commentating, just talking about the game.
Absolutely. Go for it, man. You definitely got like, the knowledge and the background, and I think you'd be really good at it. So
I'm trying. Those are kind of like the two ways I could go with it. A long shot would be kind of like maybe like the sports management side, or maybe you go AD route or something. But I would probably go back to school before I would do that, and then look into doing something that way. But either way, sports is going to be involved, man. I just love sports, especially basketball. And just being around people. I have so many friends. I have friends all over the world because of basketball. And, why not get paid to keep either talking about basketball, teaching basketball?
Definitely. Yeah, I think like that's what I try to tell people and my players is like, basketball has done so much for me. That's why I try to get back to the game is, I've been to Peru and I've been to, Costa Rica, and I've been to these, these countries. I've traveled all across the United States. I've met like lifelong friends, and it's because I could put an orange thing through a rim. You know what I mean? Like, that's a crazy concept. I got my education paid for. You know what I mean? I came out of college debt free, and now, obviously with my teaching and coaching career, that is set up my life. So it's something that, man, you can never take for granted. And hey, if you ever want to get into coaching, I got a chair right next to me for you. I'll warm it up for you. I'll let you draw up the plays. Just you let me know. All right.
Yeah, definitely. Once this Corona is out the way, man, because I told you last summer I'm going to stop by and check you guys out and
sure.
work.
Yeah, I would love, I got a really good sophomore class. I would love for those kids just to get to talk to you because, my kids, they don't get a chance to really like talk to guys who they're trying to be. They don't get a chance to talk to like pro. We have never had a pro player, we haven't had that many D1 guys. We've had a couple D1 football guys, and guys go to the NFL. So that's good for them to see. But I'd love for them to talk to like, a guy with your experience. So you are welcome anytime. All right, let's get back to some basketball debate. Who's your top 5 players of all time?
Of all time, wow. Man, I wasn't prepared for this.
Put you on the spot, baby.
Mike, LeBron, Kobe. This is not in like order. I'm just naming guys.
No order.
Magic, Larry.
Man, you went all guards or wings.
Yeah.
No centers. You're not throwing the ball inside, man. You're just going all.
Yeah, I mean Shaq. Yeah, Shaq. Who the third guy I picked? I don't even.
You said Bird, Magic, LeBron, Kobe, MJ.
It's all wing guys.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just kind of, it's like,
Let me take Larry off and put Shaq on there because he's probably one of the most dominant. I wouldn't want to
oh, yeah.
guard Shaq at all. I don't even want to guard him now. I don't want to stand behind him on the post.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so hard to compare positions. Like basketball, you know what I mean? Like if you think about every other sport, like okay, you can compare quarterbacks; they play the same position, or baseball. It's like okay, who's the best pitcher of all time? Well, okay, you can compare pitchers. That's pretty easy. But like in basketball, it's hard because Shaq versus like Magic, they played two different positions. They played in two different eras. Like it's so hard to make that comparison. So I'd have to agree with you. I'd go with MJ, LeBron, and I gotta go Shaq. If you go back and watch Shaq in those like early 2000 championship runs,
Unbelievable.
it's like there wasn't a human on earth that could stop him. See, I'm an 80s hater. I don't like. I go back and watch those games, and I'm like, I don't know. I respect it, but I can't put Magic or Larry in my top 5. I would go Kobe. Kobe would round it up, and damn, I might say Tim Duncan. I know people wouldn't agree with me, but I mean, or Kareem. Kareem or Duncan would fill in that top 5 just because like of what they accomplished and what they were able to do is just crazy.
He's in a whole nother stratosphere when you're talking about like career accomplishments, like from probably high school and on up. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it kind of like freaks me out that people don't talk about Kareem very much because he won 6 championships.
I really don't know why, but I think I've heard some people say he was kind of like a jerk to people when he played and stuff.
Well, and I mean, not to get into like a geopolitical like debate, but like that whole transition in the like late 60s, early 70s with like Muhammad Ali, and he changed his name and changed it to be Muslim. I don't know if like that caused people to dislike him more.
I never thought about that.
Because like Muhammad Ali, like people don't realize like he was hated.
Yeah.
People hated. He didn't fight in the Vietnam War. He was outspoken. Like there were people that hated Muhammad Ali, and now obviously we look back and we're like he was a great man, the things he spoke out about, and like he's really like revered now. But in the 60s, like that's the history teacher in me. I'm like, guys, he spent prime years of his career in a jail cell because he didn't go fight in the Vietnam War. So not to get into like a geopolitical, I could go on for days about that.
Coach, he talked about Kareem. I guess when he was a kid, he saw him in the airport, ran up to him like, "Hey, can I have an autograph?" And Kareem was like, "No." From that day on, I couldn't stand Kareem. Like, so I think
yeah. See, I have like, it's funny because you have like, everybody has like a personal story. Mine's the opposite. Like my wife, this was maybe like 2 years ago. My wife was at a counseling thing. She's a school counselor, and Kareem was like the head speaker at this thing, and she didn't really know like. She knew, okay, Kareem is this famous basketball player, but she didn't know like how famous and how, big of a deal. So she waited in line for like 2.5 hours to get a book for me. She got his book. She was the last person in line. And so she was waiting for like 2.5 hours. She gets, and she's getting up and they're like, all right, we're done. He's getting out of here. He's tired. And so my wife is like, she's like, Mr. Kareem, like, I've been waiting for 2.5 hours. Will you please, like, my husband's a basketball coach and all this stuff. And he was like nice enough. He was like, oh yeah. And he like, signed the book for her. And so she got me the signed copy. So it's kind of funny. Like it's the opposite story. Like I would be like, oh, he's the nicest dude ever. And
it's the opinion, but
yeah. How's your golf swing? How you feeling right now?
Man, I'm nervous. I'm probably rusty. I don't know what, because I still got the plastic on my club, so I got a new custom set last summer.
Yeah, we talked about that, man. We got to get out and play.
the wrong size. I had to send them back, so I haven't even gotten to use them yet. So I'm itching, man. I'm itching to get out there. So I think I'm gonna take them to Florida with me tomorrow when I go visit my parents and try to get out there somewhere down in Florida. You know, there's golf.
Oh
Golf.
yeah, that's where my wife's like, we got to move to Florida. She keeps enticing me. Hey, you'll be able to golf every day. So
Hey,
so we'll see. I might be down there with you here in a couple years.
got courses for you down there then.
Yeah. Who would be your okay if you could play a foursome? Who would be the three people, anybody, dead or alive, that you would go play with?
Barack Obama, Tiger Woods, and Michael Jordan.
That's a good foursome right there. You got the politics.
Yeah, yeah.
You got the golfer himself, and then you got MJ.
Athletes.
What'd you say? Yeah,
Yeah, with
Oh
Tiger and
yeah.
Michael.
I would definitely go Tiger for
Uh-huh.
sure. I would go Dave Chappelle just because he would make everybody laugh. I think Dave Chappelle's the funniest man on earth.
Hey,
Dang, I don't know who my third would be. Just I'm an like I like entertainers, man. I just want somebody that's gonna make me laugh and have a good time, and so I don't know. I don't know who would fill in my
the
my
wild
other
card.
three. I would do a raffle with my friends. I'd say, hey, I got a tea time with Tiger and Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
One of you gets to come. All right, I got two more segments, and then we'll get you out of here. The first one, this is trivia about yourself. So I'm well researched, and I'm gonna see if you know trivia about yourself.
This might be a new level of embarrassment if I can't answer these.
All right, man. Let's see. Okay, what in college? Okay, so when you played at Bradley, what was your highest points in a game? Who was it against?
33 versus Drake, which was also senior night my senior year.
Okay. What was your highest rebounds in a game?
Ooh, 11 maybe versus TCU, I think.
It was 11, and guess what game? The same Drake game.
Oh,
So you had
yeah.
33 and 11 in the same games. You must have liked playing against Drake.
Senior night, man, I had to
Let's
show
see.
out.
Okay, highest assists.
I don't pass the ball much. That's a tough.
It's low. It's a low number.
4,
It was 5, and guess which game?
same game.
The same game. So you had your high points, rebounds, and assists all against Drake that night. That's
Wow.
awesome. That's funny. Okay, it says here you're a master impressionist. So what's your best impressions? I'm excited to see this.
So, okay, so I kind of not retired, but I've taken a sabbatical from impressions because, like, if I do them in Germany, it's of like people that's on our team or like our coach. When I did them in college all the time, it was like a few people,
Yeah.
you know, like our coaching staff, some of the players. But then I would also do, who was then our president, Barack Obama.
That's pretty good.
You know, I would talk like this, and I would also introduce my wife Michelle. I used to do that all the time, and they would get a big kick out of that. But I guess I could do some. You know what? Since I feel like I'm letting you down, I'll go back to the drawing board, and I'm gonna work on some impressions
All
just for
right.
you. And
Hey.
I'll bring it in front of your kids. You know, when I come speak or something.
All right. I'll hold you to that. I'll hold you to that, man. All right, this is the last segment we're going to do is rapid fire questions. I got 10 questions. So that you haven't heard these, you don't know what I'm about to ask, and you just got to give me the first things that come to your mind. All right. Number 1. Should high school have a shot clock?
I already know what you were going to add. When you said high school, yes, and yes.
All right. All right.
I'm gonna real quick. Because overseas the young kids they play with the shot clock I'm talking about like 10 years old. Yes.
Okay. What's your favorite TV show or movie you've watched recently?
Recently. Well, my favorite is Ozark, but I haven't finished
Okay,
it yet.
that's good. It's a good
Uh,
show. All right. What's your the
sitcom of all time is Martin.
okay, Martin? Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That's
I watch that every day. It's funny, like I've just watched it for the first time.
yeah, I got to go Chappelle's show. Man, I hate to keep harping on Dave Chappelle, but
Hey,
that's like the funniest show ever.
ah,
All right, what's the best food or restaurant you've been to in Europe?
I'll go with the most recent. I took my brother. He came to visit. We went to this like a traditional German place and ate this like massive like 5 pound pork knuckle. It tasted unbelievable.
Pork knuckle?
Pork knuckle, yeah. So it's basically like a pig's knee. They take it and roast it and then deep fry it. So you get like the pig skin, which like on the outside and the inside was all moist. Oh, my brother said it's one of the best things to eat. And he's a chef that deals with like cutting meat and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff. So he got the approval. I know it's really good. But the best full course meal that I've had was in Italy. Me and Ryan went. I can't remember the name of the restaurant though. It was called like numero cinco, number five, basically.
Okay.
But it was
For those of you who
we,
don't speak
we couldn't,
Italian, number
yeah,
5.
but it was we ate till we couldn't eat anymore, and everything we ate was amazing.
All right, what's your favorite hobby outside of basketball?
Uh, golf,
Golf.
golf.
Man, I'm dying right now cuz so I have a herniated disc in my back. I'm actually standing up. I got a standing desk because I
Really?
can't sit down. And so I haven't been able to golf and it is killing me. Like it's been nice and my wife's like, "Why don't you go golf?" I'm like, "Cuz I can't even sit down." So as soon as this clears up, you know
You
where you'll
healed
find me. Um,
nicely.
who's your favorite young player in the NBA right now?
Favorite young player.
It's rapid fire, man. You're supposed to just who
Trae
comes to
Young.
mind? Trey Young. Okay, I gotta go Zion. Zion's like my favorite player to watch, man.
Because he's here, I'm a shooter.
I just like he just plays hard. Like that's
I,
the thing I love about him is he has this like he's not too cool.
unbelievable motor. Unbelievable motor.
All right, this is kind of a personal question. You don't have to answer. Have you ever been dunked on? And if you did, what happened?
Uh, it was we were at the Warren Field House. I don't remember the name of the tournament. It was probably my senior year. It was my last year. We played against you guys. Were you with Coach Best that year with Jeff and everybody?
No, we actually that was like our rival team. I was on the Central Stars, so we had like Jawan and Matt Howard and those guys.
Kicked our butt that year too. I think the early like 7 o'clock game. I hit worst game I ever played.
There's nothing like an early 7 o'clock AAU game.
Got a steal. We were trying to go down the court, threw it away. Jeff T got a steal, and I was like, I was gonna let him go, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna jump. He grabbed my hand, moved out the way, dunked it back, and dunked it. That's the worst I've ever been dunked. That might have been the only time I've ever been dunked.
Ugh. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, Matt Howard dunked on me one time in practice. Luckily, mine was in practice.
Nobody saw that.
Yeah, yeah. Nobody like really saw it, but it was gross. Let's see. What's the worst place to play in like in college or the pros? Like where have you gone and you're just like this place is the worst?
I think in our conference, I used to hate going to Southern Illinois. I used to hate it there. It was tough to play there.
Oh yeah.
The locker room there used to smell like mildew or something. Oh man, it was terrible. There,
Oh,
yeah, I hated going to Southern. I hated going to Southern like there and yeah, that was probably I didn't like it at all. I didn't like it at all.
yeah. We went and played in Alaska one year. I think it was my freshman year, and people were like, "Oh, that's so cool," and it's like, no, going to Alaska in like the middle of January is not.
You
It's
probably
not
got
fun.
uh,
It was terrible. It was cold. It was like it was the worst. It was like don't ever go to Alaska in January. All right, last one. You're down one. There's 6 seconds to go. What's your go-to move? How you getting a bucket?
Go to move. Bore them to sleep. Drive, going left, step back, fall away. Or if we just need two, act like I'm attacking, turn my back to him, shimmy, fade away. Try to get to the middle of the court, like around the free throw line, top of the key.
I see. I'm a draw up a play for you, man. That's easy. See, mine is pass the ball to a better shooter, a better scorer. That's my go-to move. Be the passer.
Shot. I was always the kid that 3, 2, 1 shoot from half court, and I would make them back when I was a kid too. So I've always relished that moment. So draw it up from knock it down.
Well, man, again, I can't thank you enough. I appreciate you coming on. Again, as a first guest, you were awesome. I'll have to keep doing this. We'll have to bring you back when I get a little more experience, get the audio working better, and we get you a camera and a microphone, and we'll do this again. But again, appreciate you taking time out of your evening. Have fun in Florida. Hit some golf balls for me, man.
Definitely will. Now I have to. Maybe if we get good enough at this, if you get good enough at this, we can turn this into drama too, man. We can.
Oh yeah,
break all kind of stuff.
I love it. I'm definitely down, man. Let's get together soon. And again, have a good evening, man. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, man. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.